In addition to beautiful Malaysia, Burma, Siam, and Cambodia, Lotus Tours offers two new destinations, Boston and French Lick, Indiana. That can't be right. Correction. That's Borneo and French Indochina. Bookings may be made at any travel office within 1,000 miles of this jungle outpost. Attention skippers, if you're looking for some variety and need to log extra time at the wheel, another group of, volunteers is being shanghaied for nighttime excursions down the Congo. These fascinating cruises through total darkness can be both exhilarating and unpredictable.
Hello and welcome to My Disney Brain. Today is September the 1st, so we are officially in fall, and welcome to the channel. We've got a really great show planned for you today, one that I've been looking forward to for a little while. We've got a special guest. I'm going to introduce her in just a few minutes. I think you're going to be excited to hear from her and to just kind of join in the conversation. We recently elapsed 3,000 followers on Instagram. So congratulations to us and thank you to you for following us on Instagram and Facebook and, subscribing to our blog. We really do appreciate it. And we're going to continue to ask you to share our links with your family and friends and associates and loved ones, people that you know are missing the parks just like us and would love to hear and share in these types of discussion, as well as the day-to-day content that we see on social media. So you can find us very easily at mydisneybrain.com, and you can subscribe there. You can also type that into Instagram or Facebook, and you can like us and follow us there as well, in case you're not doing that. If you are a first-time visitor, thank you for finding us and thank you for hanging out with us today. You picked a really good day to listen to My Disney Brain. I think you're going to learn a lot today, so welcome aboard. Those of you who are followers and have been since day one, welcome back. We really appreciate your support. Our numbers this month are just fantastic, and I can't say thank you enough in terms of the number of downloads and the listeners that continue to support the podcast. So in response to that, we're just going to keep putting out more content. Hence our conversation with a content creator today that I really think, well, not I think, I know we're going to all learn some things, and we're going to actually talk something that we haven't really talked a lot on this show, which is Disneyland. So that's why I'm super excited, because we have a correspondent, almost, if you will, someone on the West Coast that is there and can really give us the day-to-day what's going on with Disneyland and all that good stuff. So just hang around for that. As we get started today, what I'll just say is kind of sit back and relax. We're going to talk a little bit of Disneyland, a little bit of Disney World, and we're already talking about, it's fall, so we're going to start talking about the holidays. I know many of you have heard that Mickey's Not So Scary happening at Disney World, and of course you already know that Disneyland still has not reopened. So what are we planning? What is Disney planning for the fall? Well, while that's kind of being ironed out, we're going to talk to you about some of our visits and some of our favorite times of year at Disneyland and at Disney World. So what I like to do now is introduce you to Ruby from Ruby's Best Life is her tag on Instagram. Now, Ruby hosts a YouTube channel. Of course, it's called Ruby's Best Life, and she shares her Instagram page as well, and it's all connected with Disney and Disney related content. Now, Ruby started Ruby's Best Life about a year ago because she's always dreamed of creating a platform to share her thoughts, recommendations, experiences related to travel. She sounds like all of us. Ruby started traveling at a very young age with her family. From international trips to Disneyland adventures, Ruby has become an experienced traveler, picking up tricks of the trade along the way that she now shares via her YouTube platform and her YouTube community. She loves to travel, like I said, particularly cruising, and she focuses primarily on her travel over the open seas. And she covers a wide range on her YouTube channel, including resort reviews, which are awesome because I've seen a few of them, fine dining experiences, family travel tips, and all things Disney. Now, she loves spending time with her husband and her sons, reconnecting with her girlfriends, and making new memories with her parents and her siblings. So, welcome, Ruby's Best Life. Hi, Ruby.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
You
Never been
know,
on.
you and I worked on this for the last, I don't know, what's it been, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and I'm really happy to have you here. And I wasn't kidding. You just don't know. When I first started doing this over a year ago now, I searched and I tried to find someone that connect with us that would give us the Disneyland version of this. And so that's why we focus so much, honestly, on Disney World, because it's kind of our primary park as a family. It's just kind of where we go. We've been to Disneyland, but I'm not a subject matter expert on Disneyland, kind of like I am with Disney World, because we go every year. So it's really good to have you here. And in addition to that, all of the other things that you bring to the table in terms of the open seas travel and the cruise and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited.
Well, cool. We're just going to kind of jump into it. And the question I always ask folks when they come on the podcast for the first time is kind of how they came to Disney. Because if you're listening to Disney podcasts, you may be somebody just kind of missing the part. But if you're creating the content, you're probably a Disney nerd like me. So I'd like to know, like, when did you come to Disney? How did it happen? Give us the whole backstory.
Yeah. Okay. So my mom is really strict. So I grew up in a very strict household. My mom is from India and my dad's Black.
Okay.
And culturally, we just were always like in the house with our families. So for me, like, oh, you can't go to a dance or you can't go do this or that. The way I had an outlet was actually watching Disney movies. Specifically The Little Mermaid, because that was all about like having a strict dad, right? And then also Beauty and the Beast was a big one for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So watching that and kind of living through, I guess, those princesses made me feel like I had an outlet and a life. Yeah. So that's where the Disney spark came from. And then obviously we fell in love with Disney, and like we were constantly, telling our parents we want to go to Disney, we want to like have the experience, but they were hesitant to send us until we were a certain age because they were worried that if we were too small, we wouldn't get anything out of it. Right. So that's kind of where the Disney relationship started. And then because we had to wait until we were like, I want to say the first time I went, I was like 10. Mm-hmm. And, that's also influenced me and my children because I brought them since they were born because I want them to have the experience from a young age because that's different than me. So that's kind of where my Disney love came from, and it's just like bloomed since then.
Oh, cool. So did you grow up here in the States, or were you close to a park? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh, yeah. No. So I grew up in Washington, but I have a lot of family in California. So we were constantly going to California.
So the state of Washington, not like
Washington.
DC. Okay.
Yeah, no. We've always been on the West Coast. And so
okay.
Like nothing for us to go to California, especially now even. So it's
right.
One thing.
Cool. And so you're closer to the parks now than when you were growing up, I'm sure.
Yeah. So my husband's family is in California. And so before everything's happened with what's going on in the world right now, we were there like every month. And I lived in California for a period of time as well. So then I didn't get like a annual pass. I don't really know why now that I think about it.
You got to put that on the list of things to do.
I just like went, and we'd constantly just buy tickets to go. But yeah, it's always been a thing for us to be in Disneyland. And even when California Adventure opened up, that was a big deal for us, new park. So yeah.
Right. Well, cool. Well, again, I'm really excited to have you here. I've checked out your channel. Just a little backstory on the way we connected. I think we just connected on Instagram. We were following each other and just kind of appreciating each other's content. Yeah. And I think one of us commented on one of our posts one day, and we just kind of connected that way. And to be honest with you, that's probably the way I've connected with everybody that's been on this podcast,
Right.
Through Instagram or some sort of social media contact and say, hey, I have this podcast. I'd love for you to be on. And people are so cool. In the community, Disney community. And she was so receptive and so sweet. And I thought, man, this would be really great. Because sometimes people tell you, yeah, I'll be on. And then, it's kind of hard to connect with them later. But we were able to make this happen. And my hope is that we'll be able to do many more of these moving forward. Now, listen, before I get off into our discussion, which is, by the way, going to be comparing Disneyland Christmas and Disney World Christmas, I wanted to ask you one more thing, because you do have a spouse, and many times, well, not many times, it's just we're curious to know, does the spouse carry the same love for the parks as you do? Because I'm sure you don't have to twist those boys' arm to go to Disneyland.
That's a good question. So my husband's from SoCal. So I think that proximity to Disneyland, and even out there, I don't know if you know this, but like when the high schools have their graduation, they usually have their like senior night in the parks. So you try to go May, April timeline, like you're going to be either leaving the park early because they close down for the high schools, or you're going to have like shorter hours. So for him, he likes Disney. I think he's getting to love it just because we're like living it differently through the boys, but he's always super supportive. Like, the million times I'm like, let's go. He'll always take me. So I would say he's on board.
Yeah. Well, my wife, the listeners have heard a little bit of this, but my wife had never been until we got married.
Oh, wow.
She grew up in the Bronx, and we actually went for our honeymoon. It's the first time she ever went.
Wow.
And so it took a little time, but she really loves the parks. Just say if I was to go and didn't take her, and me and the kids went, I would have some problems when I got back. So she's in the clan now.
Okay. So let me ask you then a follow-up question. So your daughter, Imani and Nia, right? Daughters.
Yep.
Did they get their love for Disney from you, or was that kind of like a learned thing just with going?
Oh, it was definitely for me, because my family wasn't strict, but we just really couldn't get to the parks on a regular basis. I think the first time I went, I grew up in South Carolina. The first time I went, I think I was about 12. I don't really know. But it was, I have two brothers and a sister and my mom. My father was killed when I was really, really young. And so my mom did her best to kind of, do for us what she could. So it wasn't like we could just go all the time. But we went when we were 12. And I think I went another time when I was in high school. But it's just kind of sparked it, because I was like, seriously? Did nobody tell me this existed? Like, there wasn't a conversation. I grew up in such a small town. I kid you not. It literally isn't on the map. Like, still today, it's not on the map.
Really?
So, yeah. So we didn't have conversations about cruising and Disney World, and God knows not Disneyland. I think besides my cousin who lived in California, I didn't really know anybody in my local communities that would travel that far. So it was quite a limited perspective in many ways. And when I was 17, I left to go to college. And then all of a sudden, it's like the world opened up. And you find out that, hey, this place exists and you can go, every day if you want. Yeah. So the bottom line, I come from a very small town. And my mom she was very involved in terms of having us think larger, travel. We took at least one trip a year. And when I got about 12 or so, she took us to Disney World. And even my grandmother went, which is bananas thinking about it now. But so Nia and Imani, and I have my sons do the same thing. Everybody, well, my oldest son probably not as much, but they've all been to Disney World and Disneyland. And so they enjoy different, you know how it is. Your kids are enjoying a little different life than you did when you and your sister were their ages. And so I don't know how old you were when you got your passport, but Nia was 4. And so I can tell you, I was not 4. So she enjoyed her first birthday, kind of getting into what we're talking about today. She enjoyed her very first birthday at Disneyland. So
Awesome.
that was our first, and so far that's been our only trip there. Obviously, that's from coast to coast for us, but we had a fantastic time, and we were able to enjoy the parks, both of them, and downtown Disney. So the only thing that was a little tricky was your weather, which kind of snuck up on us because it got cold in a time period where we thought we probably wouldn't need jackets and skull caps, but we did. Yeah. So
right. What time of year? Did you say
her birthday's in April, so we thought we were going to be
early. Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite brisk. It was quite brisk.
Early night, like January to April. It usually starts warming up quite a bit end of April, May. May is usually safer, but it can get cold for sure.
Yeah. So are your boys tall enough to ride everything they want to ride?
No. So my baby's 2, so he can go on like just the stuff that has no height requirements. But my 5-year-old, he is tall enough to go on most things. But like Space Mountain, I wouldn't take him on that. And he's not tall enough yet. But we did take him on Slinky Dog Dash when Hollywood Studios opened up, and that was kind of crazy. So
cool. That's cool. So we're going to jump over into our core content, which is actually before I want to do one thing. This I think is where the listeners are going to get so much value out of having you on. I don't want to discount that. Let's talk about your YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
So tell us about your YouTube channel and what we can expect to find there, and I already know how awesome it is. So just tell us, and then we can tell the listeners how to find you.
Okay. So my YouTube channel is Ruby's Best Life. It's about a year old. I have a ton of content on there. Specific to Disney, I would say my niche is more the cruise lines. I talked a lot about the different Disney cruises that I've been on. I have done some resort reviews as well. My Disney videos specifically, I do talk general Disney topics as well, like what to expect in the park. I get a lot of questions from my friends have a lot of young children. So they'll ask me about what should I expect if I'm going to the parks? Like, do I bring a stroller, a baby carriage, or what should I expect? So I talk a lot about that as well. And the cruises, like I mentioned before. And then I do resort reviews and just different ways you can plan your Disney vacation. I had my friend on who has autism, and so we talked about the DAS Pass, and we did talk about the benefits of booking through a travel agent. And I saw that you also had a podcast on booking through a travel agent and the benefits. So my stuff is just compare and contrast tips. And then also, since I've been going to Disney for so long, it's different when you're single, if you're girls and go versus husband. And then when you have kids, it's totally different experience each time. So it's kind of just trying to capture those different buckets, I guess, and trying to appeal to an audience that maybe is in one area or a different season of their life. Sure.
So were you ever a cast member, or were you in the college program or anything?
I wasn't. No.
Okay. Yeah, I always ask because you just never know. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You never know. But listen, Ruby has like she said, a ton of content, particularly around cruising. So let's say you've never been on a Disney cruise and you just want to see what the ships look like. She's got great shots of her and the family around the area, just enjoying the facilities and different things. So you can kind of get a feel for, because Ruby, you've been on a couple of different vessels, right?
Yes. We've been on several, and we were supposed to go on the Fantasy, but our cruise was canceled.
Right.
Gosh, we're supposed to go this week, and actually, so now we're not going. But I try to capture as much footage as I can so that people kind of can get, because it's an expensive cruise line, so you want to know all your bases before you go so you can get the best out of the experience.
Well, in addition to that, I don't know unless you do some homework. It's kind of like the parks. You've got to approach it like a homework project. Because if you don't, you can't learn as you go. You're going to miss some stuff. You're not going to get your money's worth. And you may be able to save some money doing a particular thing that you don't even know about until you get back. And that's the last time you want to find out. So I always tell people, because similar to you, people ask me all the time, I'm the Disney guy in my family. Well, Kelly, you know, what time of year should I go and all this kind of stuff. And I find out sometimes that people don't even know what, you know, magic bands are and different things like that. And I just encourage them to do as much work up front. And the reason I'm saying this is because you can go to Ruby's YouTube channel and you can learn a lot. If you're just a novice, you've never been, she can just show you some simple things that her and her family have done that can help you and your family as you plan. Then you can kind of build on that. One of the things that I love to do is read content as possible when I'm out on trips, because before I go somewhere, I don't care if it's Disney or not, I always for where I'm going online. I always do. I'll tell this and then because I feel like I'm telling a long story. I took my wife on a birthday cruise. I'd never been on Royal Caribbean. My first time on Royal Caribbean. I've never been to their private island. I just didn't know a lot about them. So I've been to Disney cruise and I've been to Carnival, but never Royal. So I watched a video this guy did, and they went to their private island. I can't remember what it was called. He says, don't stop at this beach, like keep walking. I know it looks like you're going off to walk off the side of earth, but keep walking, and around the edge is a whole nother beach. Like nobody ever goes there. You can literally have the whole beach to yourself. So had I not watched this video, because when we got there, of course, everybody goes and they clump up in the same spot. And so told my wife, I said, no, let's keep walking. There was 2 people over there besides us. And it was like so great because we had the whole beach area to ourselves. So that's the value in somebody like Ruby going, videotaping it, sharing it with us, giving us her advice, from food to rooms to travel tips, what to bring, what not to bring, things you didn't need. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. Things you didn't need to bring. Like, who wants to bring extra stuff? No one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So exactly. I say, go check out. Go ahead, Ruby.
No, I was going to say the rooms are not huge on a cruise ship either, unless you get like a family suite. So you want to make sure you're looking into what you need to your point, not doing it.
And the way they find you on YouTube is what? Your the Ruby's Best Life?
Yeah. Yeah, just underscores in there, Ruby's_best_life. Same for Instagram. And I also have a Twitter too. I'm not super amazing at it, but you can check that out too, because I will post like my videos through there too, if you and it will connect directly to YouTube.
And you can go to My Disney Brain, and we've uploaded 2 of her videos already on our Facebook page. Okay. And we're going to also upload some stuff to our Instagram page after we post this podcast. So it'll link out to her site. So you shouldn't have any trouble subscribing to her and just following her. Now, in addition to that, Ruby, also tell us about your most recent activities for your YouTube page.
Oh, like my most recent video? Oh, yeah. Downtown Disney. Yes. I have a couple videos about Downtown Disney. And a lot of it is around the changes, because right before, we got into the situation with the virus, Downtown Disney had shut down, and Disney was actually looking to expand its properties. So they had closed down the ESPN zone there, the Rainforest Cafe, and kind of repurposed it. So when I went through and I took a lot of footage of Downtown Disney, I focused on what you need to expect to even get into Downtown Disney. So the security screenings, temperature checks, and then also something that's different is they have dogs there now. They call them COVID dogs. Yeah, and so you walk through a tent and they tell you just keep your bag like to your side, and the dogs just, I guess, approach you and smell you out to see if you have like a high temperature or if your immune system is compromised. Apparently there's a scent that your body gives out, and they've trained these dogs to like smell that out. So, cool. I mean, I'm healthy, but I was nervous going through that tent. I was like, what if this dog starts barking at me? And, you never have that situation, but I was like, oh, this is crazy, but the whole thing. And then also Downtown Disney has opened up a bunch of new shopping experiences and sites. So it's definitely, I would say, an upgrade from what it was before, and an awesome experience. And plus, since Disneyland is closed, going down there now, they put up their Halloween decorations and their Halloween treats. So it's kind of nice to go and feel like you're getting the park experience, but you're not. But it's
but it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing, because Disney World's doing the same thing. There's no Mickey's not so scary, but the decorations are going up and the merchandise is coming in, and people are just at this point wanting to be excited about something.
Right.
So I really enjoyed your videos. I think you had 2 or 3 in the last 2 to 3 weeks where you went down and just kind of showed what merchandise was coming in and things like that. So I would definitely, if you're listening to this and you're a Disneyland side of the world person and you haven't been because you don't live close enough just to drive to Disney, downtown Disney, but you would love to go when the parks open back, here's a way to get a little sneak peek into what's going on there now. So just follow Ruby as she goes. I don't know how many more times you're planning on going in the next few weeks, but she's very consistent in terms of uploading the content, and you'll be able to kind of stay attuned, to what's going on, and you can really see, what's happening in downtown Disney. So make sure you check her out. Now, what I did too, Ruby, was I have, in preparation for our comparative discussion about the fall season and the holidays at either Disneyland or Disney World, there are 3 videos from your channel that I'm going to really recommend people to go and check out. And I'll see if you concur. So one, you were doing it with your sister, is Disney Christmas Tree.
Oh, that one's fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Disney Christmas Tree. So you guys are talking ornaments and, decorations and things like that. So that's always fun. Everybody's got to decorate for the holidays. So that'll be a good one to check out when you go to her channel. And also there was one you did, the Disney Care to Warehouse, when you came to Florida. It was close to Christmas, right?
Yes, it was right after New Year's, actually. So we went Christmas to New Year's this past year, and then the year before that we just did Christmas. We didn't stay for New Year's. So yeah, They had some great videos. My gosh, have you been to the outlet?
Yeah. That's kind of how we start our deal. We go Disney Springs and outlets and all that kind of jazz. Did you ever go to the one on International? I prefer the one on Vineland that you went to, but have you been to the one on International?
I have not. No. What's that one like?
It's very similar. I think it is a little smaller. So you don't have as many merchandise options. But the reason I don't go there on a regular basis is because the time that I did go, I had such a hard time parking.
Oh, really?
Okay. Very difficult to find somewhere to park. Mm-hmm. So maybe not these days, but this was 2 years ago and it was really difficult. And plus, when Imani was in the college program, she lived, her apartment complex was one turn before the outlet. Like you go down Vineland and right where that church is, you turn before the church, and then that's where her apartment was. So we were right there.
Right there, yeah.
All the time. Yeah. And so I know this isn't Disney related, but I thought this was cool nonetheless, because we don't always talk about it, but I think it's an assumption people know. 9 times out of 10, people who love Disney, they really love Universal too. And so you did Holiday at Hogwarts.
I did, yeah. So that video is super fun. I did one where I just show the Disney show, like not the Disney show, but the Holiday at Hogwarts show that you can expect. They basically do a projection off of the castle, similar to Disney, right? With the fireworks and all the lighting, and it's really beautiful. But that was our first time trying to go to the Wizardly World over the holidays. Because normally we just keep all our time for Magic Kingdom, Disney World, but this time we tried to expand it. So yeah, and then I do a comparison between the two parks, what you can expect with like strollers specifically. Cool. It's different.
So we're gonna list those. We'll list those in the comments so that folks will have an easy time just kind of searching those and finding them. And I think once you find one, obviously you're on her channel, you'll be able to find the other ones. But that's going to really help you when it's time to, for us all to start booking again and going back to the parks. So today we'll have a discussion about our times in each park, Disneyland and Disney World. Ruby's going to talk from the Disneyland side, and then I'll talk for Disney World. But it sounds like you've got enough past performance in both around the holidays. You've been to Disneyland for Christmas, you've been to Disney World for Christmas. You can almost just compare and contrast yourself. So which one do you prefer?
Oh my gosh. I don't think it's a fair question. So side note, people get so heated when they see Disneyland versus Disney World. It's so funny. Like, people get so upset or so excited, it depends. But it depends I'm going to say it depends on the ride, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Because there's definitely benefits on both sides. My favorite ride, period, is the Haunted Mansion. And hands down, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion is holiday wise superb compared to Disney World, because they do a Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. So they totally change the ride. I mean, and just, have you seen the Nightmare Before Christmas? The movie with
yes.
them.
Yeah. And I think I've seen some footage of those I see those decorations for the holidays. But you're right. I think Disneyland has a superior. Pirates is my favorite, and Haunted is like 1.2 for me. But I think both of those are superior because of the way they're set up. Right. Pirate is really like the entry into Pirates is like super awesome. I love the Disneyland version. Now, listen, I always get on it when I go to Disney World unless it's down, and Haunted Mansion the same way. But let me ask you this. So if you had to choose, well, this is going to be unfair. What are the differences in your mind between going to, because it may just be the number of steps you're getting in and the size of the area, which kind of what it boils down to. Yeah. The differences you see in Disneyland holiday seasons versus.
Okay.
And it may not be much of a difference.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I saw, other than decorations and food, I don't remember Disney World doing like changing any of their rides. Like, I'm trying to think. So Animal Kingdom, pretty consistent, whether you have Christmas trees. Right. Epcot, they do the decorations. Epcot in New Year's is awesome, but I don't think they change a ride for Christmas.
No.
Magic Kingdom, same thing. I think they do different shows, different decorations. Right. No change in the rides. And then Hollywood Studios, which is one of my favorites. Totally unique in Disney World. That's Hollywood Studios. What they've been able to, and I don't know if this is your opinion as well, but before, like, Hollywood Studios was at the bottom of my list as far as the four parks go. Like, if I went, fine. If not, I didn't care. But now with Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, it's like top two for me now for the lands. Yeah. But I don't think they do anything. I can't remember any change in the rides or anything. It's literally just decorations and things like that. So
yeah, they don't necessarily change up anything for Christmas that I know of, but for Halloween, Space Mountain and Pirates are both, they have additional cast members. Like Space Mountain is like almost just completely dark. Yeah. It's a much more intense experience. And then Pirates, they're more interaction with characters, even in the queue. They start the story very early. They're looking for, I forgot what the name of the pirate was, Pete or someone. And so there's a lot more interaction. But overall, it sounds like what you're saying. I've not been to Disneyland for the holidays. So it sounds like they're probably putting a little bit more emphasis on the attractions versus Disney World, who, because of the size of their, and the scope of their attractions, maybe they can't do it because there's 4 to 2. But either way, this is a good day if you're in the parks and it's a holiday. So I'm not complaining either way it goes. It's a good day.
That feeling. But one thing I want to do add as well, not Galaxies, as Space Mountain does change also in Disneyland. They close it down and they make it dark, and they change that for the holiday season as well.
Cool.
So that's Ride, and then Haunted Mansion.
Okay. Cool beans. Well, yeah, I know when the one thing you notice if you've never been to Disneyland the first time you go, when you see the castle, Main Street, you know, you look at the end of Main Street and you're used to going to Disney World, you're like, oh, okay. And it's quite a difference. But I felt, and I just don't want to say this to sound cheesy or like, you know, I picked this up from listening to other people say it, because I think it's actually true. I think because Walt was there, and I think because everything started there, it just has a genuineness to it. And I got to be honest with you, I really believe that the people who go to that park, the locals and the people that work there, probably are a lot more into it and more vested versus any other park in the world. I'm not saying anything bad about any other cast member, but I think the people that are there realize the history that they have. Everything started here. So the food, the cast member interactions, everything to me seemed like it's on a little higher level. I mean, maybe I'm just imagining that and I just want it to be, but it just felt that way to me.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense of pride. And to your point, it's like the birthplace of the parks. And Walt imagined it a specific way. I also recall talking to a cast member who had said that their grandparents had met at the parks, and they had met Walt. So it was a sense of pride, like a lineage thing, passed down. And so like they were like, when we have kids, we want our kids to go work at the park as well. So I think that is a reflection there. And then I think anybody who's lived in California and gone to Disneyland, you do get that sense of pride, like knowing Disney is such a huge staple, I would say, in American history, even, for entertainment and what they've been able to accomplish, not only with the parks, but with expanding to movies and cruise lines. I mean, it's amazing. So there's a lot of pride there, I think. And I think it does reflect in the people that work there as well.
Well, I'll tell you, people rave about Disneyland food. That was the first thing I noticed when I went out there. I said, I'm going to have to check out this Disneyland food because people act like it's so superior. And listen, I'm not a foodie, not somebody that to really ask. Like, if you really want to know, like, where something really good that tastes really good, you don't ask me because it's not that big of a deal to me. I will tell you, I felt like
I love food.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I'm like, my wife is always like, well, what about this and what about that? When I go to a restaurant, I literally am ready to order by the time I sit down. Like, I look at the menu and say, yeah, give me that. And she's like 30 minutes later, but I'm like, I've turned mine back in because it's not that big a deal to me, but I'm real serious about it. So I give them their space. But I did feel a sense of, from looking at different blogs, I did feel a sense of so much pride and so much ownership is probably the best word. So much ownership that cast members take out there. Now, listen, I'm not saying anything negative, of course, but the college program here, Disney World, you have kids that are filtrating through that process, and some of them, most of them don't. I don't know if that's the same in Disneyland. I think you have longer tenured cast members who probably are going, building their careers through the system, and they probably know it better. So sometimes when you ask them things, maybe they just have a deeper knowledge bank. This is their first year, they're in a college program, or these sorts of. So I like both parks. I'm closer to Disney World, and I will tell you this: I appreciate the of being able to go to sleep one night, wake up the next day, and all of a sudden it's Halloween. Literally Halloween in any of those parks. Like, it literally just happens overnight. And the other thing is, I'll ask you this because when you're here, maybe you and your family have done this. One of the things that's probably a little different being in Disney World versus Disneyland because of the massive size of this are the resorts during the holidays. What are your thoughts on the resorts and visiting resorts during the holidays?
Okay, so and then I would say that that's definitely something that stands out about Disney World. The resorts, just like they will totally change up. Gosh, I don't know what it's off the top of my head here. It is connected to the monorail system in Disney World. They do a gingerbread, massive gingerbread house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I think that not just decorations, but actually, like you could go in and get samples of gingerbread, like the whole experience.
It's actually like a little. It's like a little. The person's inside, and you can just buy stuff. It's really great.
I think that makes a super unique experience for Disney World. And then I want to point out something, because we did this a little different this past year, and I'm all about I'll be real, like growing up, we weren't super, I don't want to say we weren't wealthy. We had wealthy people in our family, but we weren't wealthy. And my mom was also very particular about how to do a vacation and have an experience and have it fit within a budget. And so I'll say with Disney World over the holidays, if you're able to go and stay, maybe not even at a Disney hotel, but in the area, you can go to the Polynesian, and you can take the monorail and visit the different hotels, see the Christmas experience, the decorations. Sometimes they have shows in the lobby themselves. Even the Wilderness Lodge, I believe it has an outdoor show. You can go get s'mores at the Polynesian over the holidays. All these things that you can do, and they're free. So you can have your Disney experience, you can have your holiday experience, and it can be free. You can make it work. So I love that about Disney World, and I think that stands out. Other than them having 4 parks and them being massive, and you could spend weeks going to all the parks. You can go to hotels too. So I love that. I love that about Disney World. That's something very unique.
That's a great point. That's an absolute great point. My family and I for years, and we love to see the different Christmas trees at the different resorts. Have you and your family had a chance to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge during your stay before?
Yes, and we have you eaten at Sinai?
Sinai? Yep.
Yeah. Yes. They have really unique decorations as well. And I loved that they set up that restaurant for the holidays, and the food is so good. My gosh.
It is. So good. Yeah, they're really high on their wine too. And we ate at but that's one of our favorite places. And if you listen to any of the podcasts with my daughter, that's where she actually was stationed during her college program. So she got to be there every day. So it's wow. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
You have a podcast on Polynesian, right? So did most of your research come from her experience as well, having stayed there?
No, because I don't know what it is. Maybe I had a past life or something where I was, in Polynesia or something. But two places I think I've lived in past lives. One is the Caribbean. The other is in French Polynesia, because I gravitate to that culture so much. I love Polynesian people. I love everything about French Polynesian and Polynesia, and also about the Caribbean. 9 out of 10 cruises we've taken, if we've taken that many, they've been in the Caribbean. And I could go every year. I just love the people. I love, we've gone as far as the West Indies, which is Aruba and Curacao, which literally I was not prepared to get back on the boat. If I got left in Curacao, I would have been just fine, because I was like, I found my people. I loved it so much that I said, I either had it before or I need to live here at some point. I absolutely loved it. And then I haven't been, but to Tahiti and Hawaii, I've not traveled there yet, but I really do love the culture. But anyway, the Polynesian, for a little kid who came from Moonville, South Carolina, I'd never been on an airplane. I'd never been on a cruise ship. And when you see the monorail, you're like, oh my God. And then you see it literally, and you ride through a building on it. And it was like, what is happening? Like, we're already in the park. This must be an attraction. And then you see these different, what seemed to me at the time were we were going to different lands. So the contemporary was one piece, the Polynesian was something completely different. Like this was a whole nother thing. And so I'd never seen anything like that. And it just fascinated me. And so it became my favorite really quickly. And as you know, Disney has a high level of integrity when they put these pieces together. So when you go to Animal Kingdom Lodge, you really meet people who are there from that country. And if you have questions, they can tell you exactly from an ethics standpoint what's taking place here. So that's one of the things I enjoy.
I agree with you. And same with Epcot, when they hire folks and on their badge it will say maybe where their home country is. I love that. You can get it feels like a more natural, unique experience. Like it's so cool. Yeah. I love the monorail. And one thing that's awesome about Disney World as well is when you pull up, you can look down and see into the park, right? Whereas Disneyland, you walk up, so you can only see from the ground level. So that's another thing. Like when you're getting off the monorail, it's like an additional layer of an excitement because you're like, I can see like over the Main Street. So that's awesome. Great.
Even to this day, when I was a kid, the one thing I remember, and you probably remember this, if the water on, they probably did. When you take the not the expedited monorail, but the monorail that goes through Epcot and then it circles back to the transportation center. When you go over by the World of Imagination, there's these water deals that are just jumping out of the ground. They look like, I don't know, like somebody shooting a water gun, and then it kind of looks like it's hopping. When I was a kid, I remember seeing that from the monorail thinking, how in the world are they doing that? And every time I see it now, it brings me back to when I was like 12 years old. I see it. Obviously, I'm not fascinated by it, but it reminds me of when I was a kid. I was totally fascinated by that. I mean, it just was like, this place is so awesome because they have water that is jumping, from ground to ground. So you can see that from the monorail.
Awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Well, I have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to suggest to the audience, like I said, I'm going to put these in the comments, the videos, and don't just stop at these 3, but these are 3 videos that certainly Ruby is talking about holiday and holiday type things related to the parks. So make sure that you go and check these out. Again, they're Disney Christmas Tree and Disney Character Warehouse, and then the holidays at Hogwarts. And from a My Disney Brain standpoint, of course, we got a pretty good amount of information out there on podcast side and on the blog side. On the blog side, there are 1, 2, 3 articles. If you like to see, there's some great pictures there also. One of the first things that I ever wrote for the blog had to do with why we go. And of course, it included being there during the holidays. So the very first blog is why the holidays. Well, actually, it's not. Why the holidays are better here. Why the holidays are better here is a good one. 3 best times of the year to go is another good one. And fall is the greatest time to visit Disney World. Also on the podcast side, season 1, there were 2 episodes in season 1. 3 reasons why I go each year. And then WDW, our favorite memories. And no matter anytime me and my daughters are doing the show, and we start talking about memories, Ruby, the holidays always come up because we usually go during the holidays because my birthday is the time we go and my birthday is in November. And whether we're there for Christmas or not, we're always there when the holiday gear is up. So we get to enjoy the trees and the lights and Main Street and all these sorts of things. So that is certainly our favorite time to be in a park. And we've developed traditions. So tell us, I know I didn't kind of preempt you on this, but I know you probably know because you're the person that's booking all this and you're the person that's probably leading your family through the park. I already know, right?
I am. Like, here's our criteria.
Like, no, wait, we got a fast pass. We can't stop here. Let's go. We'll come back to this. So tell me a little bit about the traditions that you guys have established. I was telling you, when we get down first day, we don't really go to parks, but we always go to Disney Springs. We eat at certain places. We go to the outlet. So that's sort of a tradition to us, and we have them as we go matriculate through our park stay. Tell us a little bit about your traditions, because you've been to Disney World and Disneyland a few times during the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for the holidays, Disneyland, it's kind of the same. We go to oh, sorry, I thought it froze. We go to downtown Disney and we walk through there, and I actually tell my kids that we're in Disneyland. I'll be like, "This is your first day. Like, here's this, by this time, like that's the whole thing." But we always go to the Jazz Kitchen, the Express, and we get the Mickey beignets there. They're not shaped like Mickey Mouse, but they are the New Orleans flavored beignets. So you get the big, chunky bits and the sugar all over it. Bag. That is like our number one thing that we do. I don't think it's holiday though specific, but that is what we always start our trip off with, is going down to Disney and getting our beignet. Yeah. I love it.
Well, I found out later on when I started doing this, when I went to Disneyland, I said, we don't have a New Orleans square at Disney World.
Yeah, you don't.
And
you don't have that restaurant either. There's a restaurant that I eat every single time I go to in Disneyland. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. It's not Cafe. It's Cafe Orleans. I wrote it down. Okay. Cafe Orleans.
New Orleans Square.
I was looking on the Disney World app to try to make a reservation for the holidays, and I was like, wait, they don't have this, and that was shocking to me.
Yeah, we don't.
What's your favorite restaurant at Magic Kingdom?
At Magic Kingdom, is the hands down is Be Our Guest. Hands down is Be Our Guest. I love everything about it. Have you been there?
I have. That's my favorite too. But before that, I didn't have a favorite before it opened, because that's only open for what, 5 years? It's not been open.
Not very long.
Yeah.
We were more of the kind of quick eat and go kind of family, because we were more about the attractions and getting positioned to be on Main Street once the parade started and the castle attractions, stuff like that. So to sit us down for an hour and 15 minutes, we were like, no, let's grab something and go. My crew was more like that. But after Be Our Guest came, and then of course we're more, my kids got older and we're veterans now, and we can kind of do this, back of our hands. I loved it. Our diets changed, but still we feel like we can go and still have a really good experience. Because I got to tell you, the ambiance there, the scenery, the decor, and the Christmas tree and the snow, all of that is like so awesome. And I could sit in that room all day and just watch that snowfall. It's just really great. It's really great.
And they have the Christmas tree in there for the holidays too. Yeah, I would say also one thing with the footprint that Magic Kingdom has, like it's so big. I feel like they spend a lot of time with the details in maybe not actually being on a ride, but just going into like that portion of Fantasyland. So like our guest, and then you have the Tangled tower like right behind it, and even with the Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs Mine ride, that visually it is just amazing, amazing. They do a great job, and I think even with this unpleasantness that's taking place and some of the slowdown, you can see in a lot of the videos that a lot of scrims are up at Epcot, because Epcot's anniversary is coming up. Magic Kingdoms is too here in Walt Disney World. So I'm really excited to see what they're planning. Some of the stuff I know, some of the stuff I have no idea. In Epcot, the Spaceship Earth was supposed to go down last year for 2 years for renovation and come back for the 40th anniversary, but that's since been axed, I think, because of everything. But to your point, if you just walked around Magic Kingdom, which is why it's my favorite park, if you just walked around Magic Kingdom, you just lose yourself, because you can't see the outside world. You have such wonderful scenery inside the park, and you can just kind of lose yourself.
I think it's great. There's probably a small difference between Disney World and Disneyland in that I think you can still see to some degree like some highway, or you tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I thought I saw from Disneyland.
Yeah, I think that California Adventure, there's places where you can kind of see through, because literally right behind the roller coaster, the Incredicoaster, is like hotels. So it's not as excluded. It's like the city is all around it, right?
Right. Yeah, I use landlocked, but again, no big deal. If I'm there, I'm good. So, well, I tell you what, I think I've questioned you to death. If you have anything else you'd like to share with the listeners, I'm sure they would be intrigued to know. I'm going to just do a commercial for you because I know you got some good content out there. I'm going to encourage the folks that follow us at My Disney Brain to please go out and not only watch a few videos, but subscribe. That makes a big difference. Subscribe to Ruby's channel and just check out what she has. I always like to bring on guests that can add some value to the listeners and that can help either educate you from some degree or help you, like with the travel agent piece. I felt like that could help listeners that don't really want to plan on their own, or they feel like maybe I can learn something through a travel agent. So I wouldn't ask Ruby to be on if I didn't think she had some valuable content, because I know she does. And I'm going to ask her to continue to come back and help us kind of stay in tune and in touch with what's going on in Disneyland.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And when I get to my channel too, and I get to post this video as well, I want to highlight, podcast, because, we're all doing like housework and we're all like in the yard, and it's really nice to have something to listen to that's meaningful and like you can learn from. And one thing I love about your podcast is I can tell you take the time to research. You're not just kind of like, oh, well, I'll just say this, like you take a lot of effort and time. And then I love the dynamic between you and your daughters. It's so funny. It makes me look forward to like when I get a little older and we can have like different kinds of conversations about things. So you're doing a great job. And before we end, I wanted to ask you, what is one thing you would tell somebody that's starting a podcast or wanting to get into this? Because you're coming up, you just passed a year on your podcast, right? And is your blog a year old as well?
Yes, actually, I started the blog before I started podcast, and my tactic was to make sure I had enough content in terms of research. Like you said, you don't want to provide misinformation or bad information, because I think listeners will get on to that and they're like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He said the park's going to be closed and it's open, or this ride is going to be down and it's not. So you want to be able to provide good information. And for those of us who don't live very close to the parks, who are providing content, we've got to be extra careful because we can't get to the parks every day. So the research piece has to be top notch. So I spent probably the first 2-3 weeks just blogging and really developing content for the podcast so I could speak, intelligently, not outside of my passion for the park, but I mean specifics that are going on at the park. So I'll be giving good information for people who are on their way. Because one of the things that I would do all the time on my way to the park, I would listen to podcasts, because a podcast may say, you know what? Pirates just went down yesterday. It was down for 2 hours. And that way I would know, hey, when I get there, Pirates may be having problems. So if I need to reroute my family, I can do it. And I've done that more than once. So hopefully we're adding the same type of value to our listeners. But to answer your question, what I would tell people who are looking to start is just start. Like, just start. I listen to, and I'm got my, he's committed to come on. He's a guy named Lou Mangello. He's at WDW Radio, and I absolutely love his podcast. He's been doing this for probably 15 years. Wow. And he certainly is a subject matter expert. And, I was listening to his podcast one day, and he just said, you know what? Just start. You're going to have to find your content. You're going to have to find your voice. All that happens after you start. If we wait, to build up content, to build up, to practice. Listen, I miss have to come on the next week and say, hey, I said this last week and it should have been that. or I may mispronounce the word. Sometimes when you hear me and my daughters really going into it, you can hear I'm from Moonville because I get my vocab goes a little left, and so they laugh at me because it's like, okay, but I'm passionate about it, so that's why I know I'm getting excited about it. So I would just tell people to start. Just start where you are with what you can do and build on that. And that's the way we did it. And like you said, it's been a little over a year now, and we're still going strong. We've got a pretty good following, great, numbers online in terms of downloads. We did a show 3 weeks ago where we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I never did this, but we pulled the numbers from our podcast provider, and it showed the different countries that listen to our podcast.
Oh, cool.
It was super cool. Like, there were people in Argentina, in Belgium, in Spain, Alaska.
Wow.
It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really was. It really was a different perspective on what you were doing. You say, okay, you do it. People that go to Disney are listening to you and that kind of stuff. But there are people, this is why your channel is so great, is because there are people that don't live anywhere close to Disneyland, that the only Disneyland they may get is what you bring to them. And so to do good quality videos and to, you do these great voiceovers and these great shots, and people are able to experience it, especially nowadays, they're able to experience it and not feel so isolated.
Yeah. And just to hear music and stuff, or like to your point, like maybe there's a family that's not able to go for the holidays, but we can share like some pictures or talk about it. Cool that you saw all the people that are from like not even the United States watching it. That's an impact right there. And then just Disney, like the amount of people it touches, like I just love it. It makes me so happy when I think about that. Like it brings happiness to so many people, regardless of where they are in this world. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. But the first video I saw before we close out of yours is, I think you guys were in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, we went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii in March.
Yeah, and I think you were just learning about all the unpleasantness. But I'll tell you what I got from the video. You said something that resonated with me, that probably resonates with every person that loves Disney, which is you felt like if Disney could kind of be there and everything was still okay. Yeah. But when they were being impacted, there was obviously room for great concern. And I think many people felt that way. And in some ways, not that it's the entirety of our lives. Obviously, our spirituality, our family, and different things are much higher than where Disney is on our list. But things that we're passionate about, things we love to do, it's fine. And we thought, you know what, these guys are great. If anybody can figure it out, they're going to be able to figure it out. And I really think they have. I mean, it's been slow on the Disney World side. Shanghai and Tokyo and these guys are trying their best to hang in there. And word on the street is Disneyland starting to light up again at night. And that's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. Even if you look through the gates, they've already put in, I guess, like their precautions. So they have not plastic, but different areas to protect the cast members, so that when you go through, when they do open, that's there. So they've already started putting those protections in place. So it's optimistic. And Disney World's doing a good job. I heard that Disney World has done an amazing job, even compared to Universal Studios. Numbers. So that's all the right path, and that's all we can do is.
I think so. I think Disney World obviously bigger and probably obviously bringing in more revenue and more people impacted. Plus, they also had a little thing called the Magic Band that Disneyland didn't. That kind of helped them, kind of become hands-free really, really quickly, that system being in place. Right. I'm optimistic. I always am. I tell the girls the same thing. I mean, just be eternally optimistic and you'd be surprised what can manifest. But listen, Ruby, we're going to have you back. We'll broadcast what that content is going to be like. But I hope you guys have enjoyed having Miss Ruby on as much as I have. And don't forget, please go and check out her content. You can follow her on Instagram at Ruby's, that's with an S, RUBYS _best_life, LIFE. Follow her there, and you can look her up through YouTube using that same tag, or you can just link to her videos from our Facebook page, whichever you prefer. And once we get this video done, I'm also, Ruby, going to put it on our Instagram page. So it's kind of hard to do links from there, but we'll have it on our website. How about that? We'll have it on our website, and that way folks who want to follow you can do it there. But again, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And I'm really happy to have a Disneyland correspondent, a Disneyland connection.
Thank you. I can't wait to come on again. And I hope to have you on my channel as well. I think we have a lot of things that we can talk about, because we already realized like, hey, that could be a topic. So I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And listen, I know your boys are waiting, so go. You got your mommy time. We probably talked longer than we thought, and I'll be in touch. But thank you so much, Ruby. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Would be swell. Oh, baby, what I couldn't do with plenty of money and you, in spite of the worry that money brings. Just a little filthy lucre buys a lot of things, and I could take you to places you'd like to go. But outside of that, I've no use for dough. It's the root of all evil, of strife and upheaval. But I'm certain, honey, that life could be sunny with plenty of money and you.
All skippers in training are required to wear a leopard hatband, so travelers at dockside will know not to board your boat.